They expected her to stay silent. They expected her to break. They expected her to accept pain as her destiny, but she didn't. When life pushed her to the ground, she didn't beg for mercy. She stood up. When the world labeled her a victim, she tore the label apart. She understood one powerful truth. Being hurt is not the same as being defeated. This is not the story of a woman who was saved. This is the story of a woman who saved herself, and in doing so, changed her fate forever. From the moment she was born, the world seemed ready to decide her limits for her. Girls shouldn't speak too loudly. Girls should adjust. Girls should endure. These words followed her like shadows, whispered in homes, echoed in streets, enforced by silence. And for a long time, she believed them. She grew up learning how to survive instead of how to dream. She learned how to lower her eyes before she learned how to raise her voice. She learned how to apologize for things that were never her fault. She learned that pain was something women were expected to carry quietly. And when life tested her, harder than she ever imagined, everyone assumed she would collapse. When life tried to break her, betrayal didn't come from strangers. It came from places that were supposed to feel safe. People she trusted dismissed her pain. People who promised protection chose comfort over courage. And when she needed support the most, she was told to be patient, to be quiet, to accept. That was the moment the world tried to turn her into a victim. She lost things she could never replace: security, dignity, dreams she had carefully protected. There were nights when fear sat beside her like an unwanted guest, nights when she questioned her worth, her strength, her future. But something inside her refused to die. Not anger, not revenge, but self-respect. The turning point. One day, she looked at her reflection and realized something painful but powerful. No one was coming to rescue her, and instead of breaking her, that truth freed her. She understood that waiting for permission was another form of prison. That silence was not strength. That endurance without action was slow destruction. So she made a choice. She refused to be a victim, not because life hadn't hurt her, but because she refused to let pain define her identity. She decided that her story would not end where her suffering began. Choosing strength over sympathy. She stopped asking, "Why me?" and started asking, "What now?" She educated herself when doors were closed. She worked when rest felt impossible. She learned skills when confidence was low. She faced judgment without explaining herself. She faced loneliness without begging for approval. She faced fear every single day and walked forward anyway. People called her selfish when she chose herself. People called her difficult when she set boundaries. People called her cold when she stopped tolerating disrespect. But she knew the truth. She wasn't becoming heartless. She was becoming whole, rebuilding herself. Healing wasn't beautiful. It was messy. It was lonely. It was exhausting. Some days she cried. Some days she doubted herself. Some days she wanted to give up, but she didn't, because every step forward, no matter how small, was an act of rebellion against the fate others had written for her. She rebuilt herself piece by piece. Confidence replaced fear. Clarity replaced confusion. Self-belief replaced shame. She stopped living to be accepted. She started living to be authentic. When the world noticed the change, the same world that ignored her pain began to notice her strength. Not because she shouted, not because she proved anything, but because she walked differently. She spoke with certainty. She carried herself with dignity. She made decisions without fear of rejection. And suddenly, people who once underestimated her began to question themselves. She didn't seek revenge. Her growth was enough. Changing her fate is not a sentence. It's a direction. And she changed hers. She turned trauma into wisdom. She turned fear into fuel. She turned pain into purpose. She became proof that survival is not the goal. Transformation is. Other women began to see themselves in her journey. Her courage became a mirror. Her resilience became a message. She didn't just save herself. She showed others that they could too. The woman she became. She is no longer the girl who accepted silence. She is no longer the woman who waited for validation. She is someone who knows her worth, even when no one applauds. She is someone who chooses herself, even when it's hard. She is someone who refuses to be defined by what tried to break her. She didn't escape her past. She outgrew it. If you are listening to this and feel trapped, if you feel unheard, if you feel like life has already decided your fate, remember this. You don't have to deny your pain to refuse being a victim. You don't have to be fearless to be brave. You don't have to be perfect to be powerful. Like her, you can choose. And that choice, to stand up, to move forward, to refuse surrender, can change everything. She refused to be a victim, and she changed her fate.